All right, so welcome everybody. I am so excited that you are joining us here to learn more about communications in this industry, and specifically the tools that Ziplingo has and how they've been integrated into ByDesign. I will tell you that I think they might be one of, if not the most deep integration that we have between our platform and a third party. And that's because we trust Ziplingo. We love the tools that they've come up with, and they're a very good partner of ours. So I want to start with that because when it comes to partnerships at ByDesign, we don't take that lightly. We know that when you're asking for recommendations on a third party, you're trusting that we're going to point you in the direction of the right people. And so when we say that somebody is a preferred partner, it means so much more than just, oh, yes, they offer something in that space. So a few of the reasons why Ziplingo is such a trusted partner of ours. First starts with the product. They have to have a product that fits within the needs of our clients, but also supplements and offers additional functionality that we're not able to provide. And that's exactly what Ziplingo does. Whether you're trying to communicate to your field, communicate to your customers, leads, prospecting, social media, emails. I mean, when it comes to communication, Ziplingo really is a leader. And specifically in the industry, they are a leader. Matt and his team, they come from direct selling. They have experience being reps out in the field. So they understand this industry and the nuance that this industry has. And that I think is so important, especially from communications, because as you know, a communications tool for a straight retail company is not going to necessarily meet all the needs of a direct selling or an MLM company. There's differences as far as rep communications versus customer communications and all the little details in between. So the reason that I love Ziplingo so much is they come from this industry and they are built for this industry. So all the tools that they are providing are done through the lens of how it serves the needs of these clients specifically and our partners here. So that product fit is definitely a perfect fit for this industry, for our clients, and for the ByDesign platform. Secondly, is the service mentality and the company values. If I didn't trust Matt and Ryan and their team to treat you right, I wouldn't send you over there. They're good people. They understand that that things happen, and if anything ever goes wrong, they're going to fix it for you. They'll work with you. They'll collaborate. They're just really good people that I trust. And that sounds kind of corny, but in this industry, it really is about making sure that you've got a trusted partner that I can send my clients to them and know that Matt's going to take care of them. And that if anything does come up, Matt and I can jump on a call and talk through it. We can get on a call with the client. We stay connected. We continue to collaborate. And that service mentality of really treating our clients the same way we want to treat our clients is so important. And Ziplingo does that. So those are just a few of the reasons why we've chosen them as our communications partner. So now I'm going to jump into the actual integration itself, and the product offering there. So to do that, I'm actually going to share my screen and show you as soon as I get to the right screen here. All right. So I am sharing with you now our Freedom back office. So for the clients that we have on the call, you guys have all seen this Freedom back office before, right? So there's a couple of key places where we have put this integration to use. The first one is obviously leveraging our webhooks, because this is how we're going to transfer data back and forth between ByDesign and Ziplingo. So you have the ability to configure this, or our support team can help you to configure this. But the idea is that the existing webhooks that we have can be leveraged to pass data to Ziplingo. Okay, so if you decide that you want to move forward with Ziplingo, we will get the endpoint that you need to be able to configure these webhooks. And then it's as simple as turning on the data sharing. So you're going to want to share rep information so that Ziplingo knows ranks of your reps and sponsorship relationships. How do they relate to one another? When a new rep is created. These are all things that, excuse me, these are all things that Ziplingo can get via webhooks, and it's going to help drive the communications that they have on their side. So there's tons and tons of these webhooks that you can turn on. But the key here is that the webhooks are what pass the data back and forth to let Ziplingo know when a new rep has been created, when a rep has promoted in rank, when a new lead has been created. These are all really important things that at the foundation, we need to have the data sharing between these two platforms. The good news for you as a client, and I've heard this from at least one of our mutual clients, that prior to the integration, there was a lot of exporting data and importing it into a third party. If you're using MailChimp, if you're using Constant Contact, if you're using any of these communication platforms, there's a lot of exporting and importing and cleaning up the data. None of that has to happen with these webhooks. These are all fired in real time, meaning that you don't even have to wait for any kind of sync. This is going to real time trigger Ziplingo when the data has been updating. So these webhooks are key to making sure that the integration at its foundation is working and that Ziplingo is getting all the data they need without you having to personally deliver it to them. Okay, we just hook up the webhooks and let the systems talk to each other. Now, when it comes to actually leveraging that data, the biggest area where you're going to see this integration is when it comes to our autoresponders. So as a reminder, on the ByDesign side, autoresponders are any of those automated communication tools that are built into the Freedom platform. So you may have trigger alerts. Customer places an order and you want to send out a communication to the rep saying, congratulations, Vicky just placed an order. Okay, that's just one example. There's trigger alerts, there's journey-based alerts, there's all these different types of autoresponders. And when you're looking at autoresponders, sorry, I have my, how can I, there we go. Had to minimize that so I could get to my plus sign here. When you go in to actually create an autoresponder, historically, you would have obviously all of the different autoresponders available. Okay, hundreds of different templates here that you can choose from. So for example, I will choose the qualification agent. So let's say I'm setting up an alert for or an email, some kind of communication to let a rep know that they've achieved a qualification or that they're close to achieving a qualification. You've always had the ability to create this autoresponder as either an email or an alert. So if I set it up as an email, then I'm going to be able to come in, write up the content. There are some field tags here. I can use HTML to try to pretty it up. And then once I have that configured, anytime somebody meets the criteria, an email will be sent to them. Similarly with alerts, you come in, you set up your message, you've got the field agents, and you go from there. What we've done with this Ziplingo integration is, in addition to the emails and alerts, you now have an option for each one to send it as a webhook. Okay, and what this is basically saying is, I want to use the ByDesign data to indicate that a communication needs to be sent. But I don't want to necessarily be restricted to only using HTML or, the restrictions that are here. So what I can do instead is send it as a webhook. And then when I do that, I can say, okay, I either still want to design the email here in our system, or you know what? I would rather do the formatting in a third party. What this is going to allow you to do is control simply the data of what triggers this autoresponder. So I'm still using the ByDesign data to say, I want reps to achieve this when X bonus agent has been met. So I'm still setting up the data here. But you'll see, since I checked this box, there is no longer a window for me to actually create the content or do the HTML or use any of those field tags. That's because I have indicated I want to do that in the third party. Now that I've indicated that, once I select my data and hit save, now I can move over into the Ziplingo platform and actually create that email notification. So then moving forward, anytime a rep qualifies to receive the autoresponder, they will receive the autoresponder that you have set up and created on the Ziplingo side. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pause and I'm actually going to stop sharing so that Matt can pick up and start sharing from the Ziplingo side. So he can kind of show you the recipient side of, okay, now that we're sending out all these webhooks to Ziplingo, now he can share what you do with them on that side of it.
Okay, can you hear me now? Perfect. So first of all, Cassie, thank you for that demonstration and kind of explaining on your side where everything lives. What I'd like to do is let's pick right back up where she was at. So I'm going to back up here for a second, and I'm going to go in, and we're going to go into the Adapture account. So right now, we're working with about 23 customers that are on ByDesign. They actually are already utilizing, these are some of the companies, they're utilizing our technology in this integration. So just to let you know, you're not going to be the first. We have quite a few people doing it and seeing a lot of success with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to impersonate the Adapture account to kind of show you how this works. So what I've gone to first and foremost is just the dashboard, but where I want to pick up is where Cassie mentioned to pick up. So when we talked about those autoresponders, I want to go in and show you where those autoresponders, obviously, once you turn them on the Freedom side, then they will show up in our system here. So you can see every single one of these. You see their field agents that come with each one of them, as she was mentioning earlier. So those are the actual fields that you can drop into your message to make things very personalized. But as you can see here, you have that entire list. I think there are about 101 of them that she showed us. And in here, I actually have a little switch where I can actually choose if I want to use these on the Ziplingo side. So once I switch these on, you'll see these ones that are blue. They're now going to show up under my builder. So when I go in to create a campaign, which we'll do together right now, I'm going to come in and hit add a new campaign, and I'll go to full screen. And then let's just call this a test campaign just for testing purposes. We can choose to do a blast campaign, which is a one-time message that just goes out to whoever you want it to. We could do a drip campaign, which is where you're basically dripping content over a period of time, and you can choose the time intervals, but you could do as many messages as you want. Or you could do an A/B test where you're trying to send one message to a certain percentage of your list or group, and then obviously do the other a certain percentage to the other group. So for this one, let's just use blast, and we're going to go to delivery method. And I want to mention here one thing that's pretty cool, and that is in this particular Adapture demo, we've only onboarded email and text messaging, but we've included multimedia messaging. Please keep in mind that Ziplingo is a one-to-many channel type of platform. What that means is you can actually send messages through Ziplingo through what we call two omni channels. So email, SMS, messaging apps like your popular third-party apps. Maybe you have clients that use WhatsApp a lot, or Instagram, or even Messenger. You can actually route messages directly to their Messenger account or their Messenger app on their phone and allow them to receive messages there. So remember that email and SMS are not the only two channels that you can send through. And if you're a global organization, you probably want to be leveraging some of these other communication channels that are more popular in other countries. In addition to that, also remember that we can also connect our technology or our messages to drop into your mobile app. So if you have a mobile app that you're using and you want to see an in-app message pop up or a push notification pop up, that is also possible and also very doable from our platform. So again, just want to touch on that while we were there. So I'm going to go ahead and choose all to create this campaign. I want to send out an email, but also a mobile message through SMS. And then I can come in here and I can choose to either send a manual message. So this would be more of maybe your marketing messages where you're sending out some type of a product promotion, or maybe it's an event type message where you're trying to tell people about, an upcoming, let's say it's a phone call, maybe a conference call that you're doing, or maybe it's in some kind of an event or convention you're having. Or I can choose to go in and grab these triggers. And there's a couple other options here that I'm not going to touch on right now. But let's go into the AR trigger, and all of those triggers that we just turned on, that we talked about, that are on the ByDesign side, are now all available here. So now I can come in and say, okay, I want to choose, whatever it is, one of these particular triggers. I mean, here's an example of abandoned cart. That would be a great, important trigger to grab if you have people going in, maybe on a promotion, and they're adding stuff to the cart but not checking out. So again, that's just one example of one of these webhooks or these triggers that you can utilize. So let's go ahead and let's just grab one of these, right? So I'm just going to grab an example of one, and I'm going to now hit next. And now I'm going to be able to go in and actually design my content. So Cassie mentioned a moment ago, you could go in and do HTML on her side or text and drag in some of those field agents. On our side, what you're able to do is first, you can go full screen and you can actually add a template. So if we're talking about just email, we've got a bunch of predefined templates. There's probably a couple thousand templates in here that you can choose from. And again, depending on the type of company you are, what products you're offering, you can come down and find the template that's right for you and click on use this template, and then obviously customize it with your logo and maybe change the colors with your look and feel. But what'll happen is it'll load this template in our nice drag and drop editor. And from here, I can go ahead and I can drag and drop different pieces here and add additional content. I can always browse out and find information that's already there, or I can import information off my computer or my different drives and bring pictures or videos or those types of things into this particular image, as you can see here. So the other thing that I really love about this is I can also bring in all of those fields that we talked about. So depending on the type of autoresponder that you're working with, you're going to have different field agents that have been mapped from ByDesign so that I can go in and grab those. Probably one of the most useful and one of my favorite is the web alias, the replicated website URL for, let's say it's the sponsor of the customer that this message is going to. When that customer gets the message, I don't want them to go reorder products on corporate's website. I want them to go right to their sponsor's website. So by dropping in that simple web alias, this will actually, when it builds this message and sends it out, it's going to put in that specific sponsors or customer sponsors URL so that the reordering can be done correctly and at the right website. So again, I can continue to customize or hyper-personalize the message by dropping in all sorts of different fields. If this were an order, I could see all the order fields, the order type, amount, date, shipping URL, those types of things. So again, full functionality. You're not losing anything because you're building the message over here. You might even be adding or gaining a few things by having the drag and drop editor to kind of make those messages look and feel the way you want. You'll notice that I also have a button here for mobile, so I can kind of see, typically most people are going to be looking at this from their phone, so I can see exactly what that message is going to look and feel like. Something else I want to mention here is you can drop in links, and these links are trackable. And this is something that we just recently released with ByDesign, and that is the ability to track a campaign. So if I'm sending out an email or even an SMS message, and I want to know how many people not only opened it, but how many people actually clicked on the link and went to my website and purchased a product. You can literally take it that entire way, and we can track all of that on our side. So all of our campaigns allow you to drop in links that are trackable. Over here, you can see you have a lot of additional things for your unsubscribes, your view in browser, your email preferences. So again, we've really thought of everything that you're going to need in direct selling to be able to build and send out these messages to give the value that you want to give to your not only your representatives, but also to their customers. Let me back up here, and I'm going to go back up to the top. You'll notice you have the ability to put in all your preview email information. So if they're using Outlook or some other email client, they can quickly see the information that's contained in your email. You also have the ability to customize with those same field agents the subject in your message. So I can customize that subject, call out their first name or whatever you want. I can also spoof the reply to address if I want to make it look like it's coming from their sponsor's name as an example. So there's a lot of cool things and functionality here as well. The last thing I want to show you is the ability to create a mobile message. So now that I've built obviously an email message, I also want to be able to possibly build a mobile message that can be used in a similar way. Let's say that somebody only wants to receive notifications from your company via a mobile phone. This gives you the opportunity and the editor to go in and build out that message. And if I want to add media, for example, I can simply go in and I can pull in a specific email or message. And this one is beyond 600 kilobytes, so I forgot to check the size. But once I bring something in, it's going to allow me to be able to add that content, whether it's a picture, whether it's maybe a copy of your HTML email, but I can drop that straight into the mobile phone and they can have a very similar experience on mobile as they would their desktop. Again, all the same functionality here for mobile, where I can go in and merge fields. I can go in and add the link tracking over here under this button. And I'm able to, really do this very quickly, very easily, create a campaign and fire it off to everyone within that group or audience that I have. And that's also another big thing that I always hear coming up from people is, okay, I've built my campaign. This particular one was based off a trigger, but what happens if I want to send out a campaign at the last minute to a specific group of people? Do I have to go to ByDesign and build some kind of a report and export it and then try to import it into another system? The answer is no. All I have to do is come into my contact section, click on this little filter button here, and choose the type of people that I want to send the message to. So when I go in and I look, I'll notice that all of my, in this case, all of my filters or all of my paid as rank, different names all show up in here based on what they are over on the Freedom side. Highest rank, same thing. I can go in and see all of those, and I can choose to filter all of my data that's in my database by this information. If I want to choose a country or I want to choose United States, it'll allow me to go down and even choose different states here. So maybe I wanted to just choose California, just as an example. So you can see as I come through here, I can basically whittle down this information to the specific list that I want. Are they active on auto ship? Are they not active? What language do they speak, right? Are they opted in, opted out? So there's all sorts of really segmentation here that I can run to come up with that exact list or that exact group that I want to send a message to. Once I hit filter, it'll create that group, and then I can name it. And I'll show you an example of this under audience where we've created some groups. So here's what we call all reps. This is a newsletter group. Looks like we haven't put anybody in there, but we created the group. Or promotions. A leadership team, which would only have a certain number of people. And again, because we're using Adapture, some of this is just demo data. But what you'll notice is this is actually a full report or group of everybody that fit that criteria that I was searching for. And now I can go and actually queue up a message and send it to the leadership team specifically. And so what we've tried to do is make this real simple. All of the data that you have that lives in ByDesign side is fully accessible on our messaging side. And as Cassie mentioned at the beginning, we have really tried to do a deep integration so that your experience is similar. You're not going to be losing or missing something by coming over here and creating these groups. You'll probably be saving yourself a lot of time being able to build these campaigns out. So that's kind of a high level look at groups and how that works. Another real interesting component that kind of falls in the same category is segmentation. So with our system, we've tried to give you the ability to segment based on, events or activities, for example. So here's a few examples of ordered in the past 60 days or ordered in the past 30 days, or has not opened an email, or the last time they opened one was a certain period of time. So I have the ability to come in and create these different conditions and actually create this segmentation so that I'm able to send out messages to people that fit certain criteria or certain data sources. The other thing is I have what's called data automation, as we talked about earlier, through the triggers. So really, most of your messaging that you're going to do is probably going to be automated, other than those one-off campaigns that you're going to send out from time to time. And that's where you can leverage that data personalization that we talked about earlier. The last thing I want to touch on with data is if you come into your contacts, and in this example, this database that we're pulling from for this demo has got 9,553 total records. What you'll notice here is we have something called data validation. So we are trying to save you money and obviously save you time by not sending messages out to people that can't receive those messages. And what's interesting is because we're using this Adapture, kind of a dummy database, there's only 46 emails in that entire database that are valid. But it's pretty cool how our system scans their database and can immediately tell you, hey, there's 46 that are valid, and here's the valid ones, right? And so you'll see this little green check mark saying that it's been verified, that that particular email or that particular phone number is either valid or invalid. And so that's something that we do. We don't want you trying to send out tons of messages to people that can't accept them because they don't have correct contact data. What that allows you to also do is be able to go and clean that up. So once you know where the issue is, you can go in and clean up your data. And we have some different campaigns that you can run depending on what type of data you have access to. So anytime you add a new person, our system will go and verify that their contact information. We're going to ping third-party APIs and their databases to actually look up that record to make sure that it's a working email or a working phone number, as an example. Any questions on any of those pieces on the data side, real quick? Anyone?
So I did want to bring up one from the chat here. So we have a question about if somebody doesn't get the email that should have been triggered. So for example, if their email was wrong or so on, is there a way that you can go back and resend an email that failed the first time?
Sure. So we're going to click on someone's name. So all I did is basically went and looked up their name and clicked on it. And when I come into this section here, you'll notice it has some fields, kind of like a CRM, where it's showing this person's information. You'll notice there's a couple different tabs down here. And one of those tabs is something called history. And when I click on history, I just happen to choose somebody. Let me choose somebody that has a message real quick so you can see this. Oops, I'm going to choose Sudweeks. And I'll show you an example of someone that has actual data. So when I come down to history, over here to the right, I can see any replies that this person, any messages they've replied to, and I can also see any messages that they were sent. If I click on those messages that they were sent, I can see when the message was sent. I can see if it was sent to more than one person, but I also have a little button over here on the right to resend that message directly back to that person. Something else that I can do is I can go down and I can check the API logs for that particular message as well. And you guys all understand API logs, but that's essentially the connection between Ziplingo and what's happening with Ziplingo. I've got to do different time periods, I believe, here. But what's happening between Ziplingo and what's happening between ByDesign. And that way we'll know if something actually triggered but didn't fire that was supposed to. So there's a number of different ways here that I can go in and actually check a contact to see if somebody says, hey, I missed something and I wasn't supposed to. The other thing that I wanted to mention while I'm here is something called Quick Chat. So anytime you send anyone any type of a message, it doesn't matter if it's an email or an SMS or WhatsApp, you'll actually see a full kind of log of all the previous messages that you've sent them. And if somebody were to reply to one of these, you simply can come in here and type in a message and actually click this little button over here and send a message back. Looks like this might be due to some bad data, or maybe it's because it's a test account. But I can type a message right here back to them, and they'll get that message in whatever channel they previously were communicating with me through. So if they had just replied to an SMS, that message will go straight to their SMS. It'll show up on their phone. So if you want to, you do have the ability to turn questions or replies into conversations. And we can, obviously route all these through to your Zendesk or to your Freshdesk team as well. They do not have to answer those or reply to those within our platform. But that is just another nice feature. The other thing that I like is every contact has a notes section. So you're able to come in here and log any notes based on messaging. But just remember, because of that integration that we've done, we've got a lot of their personal data that lives here, their business data that lives here, their communication preferences that they've opted in for on the ByDesign side that live here. So a lot of that is kind of already listed here to make it real easy for you to troubleshoot and or to trigger messages off specific data that you want to trigger messages off of. Any other questions in that?
Awesome, Matt. Well, you actually ended up answering one of them, which was the question about resending, and then also the question about how to engage with them. So if they respond, how can I know and how can I continue engaging with them? So love that you already answered that one. I have a couple of questions in the chat about opting in and opting out. So does a customer need to opt in? And if they have opted out, how is that respected?
Great question. So the answer is yes, they have to opt in. So anytime you're dealing with, any messaging platform, you definitely want to make sure that you're opting people in. And really it comes down, there's actually, according to TCPA attorneys that we've consulted with, you have what's called implied consent, where you're doing business with a customer. If they buy a product from you, they're expecting or implying that they're going to receive some kind of a message back from you saying, thanks for your order, etc. And the same is true for someone that's signing up to be one of your representatives. They are implying that, hey, I'm planning on doing business with you, so I'm expecting that I'm going to get messages from you. Where you take it too far, and what we've been advised is that if you choose to send out a promotional message where you're trying to get someone to buy something, you're not communicating with them about an action or an event or an order or what have you that they've done, but you're actually trying to solicit them to something new. That's where you need to have written consent from that individual. And so we highly recommend that you make sure on your enrollment side, as well as your new customer onboarding, that there is some type of a box that they can check to allow them to opt in. And you'll notice when you do that, we obviously keep track of all of that on our side. We tell you what happened, when it happened. So you can always come in here for, let's say you were ever audited and you needed to come up with that information. You have the ability to go and grab that immediately. You also have the exact same thing for opt-outs, but because this data, let's actually opt somebody out here real quick. I think I'm in here. So we will, I don't know if I need to put a +1 in there, maybe. Maybe Ryan can tell me because I'm striking out on that one. But I can come in here and opt someone out, or someone can reply to any message with stop or unsubscribe. or whatever it is, and it will automatically opt them out, and it will put their name in here where you can actually see that they have opted out. Now, what if I want to opt them back in? What if that was a mistake that they made and oh, I didn't mean to do that? Then you have the ability to come back here and re-opt them back in from this page. So there's a function or a button there that exists when someone's opted out. I apologize, I don't have any in there that I can showcase that.
You
But that's
can,
go
Matt,
ahead. Yeah.
if you put my email address in there, ryan@ziplingo.com, and hit enter, then it should pull it up.
Okay, cool. There it is. Okay, thank you. All right, there you go. So that's how it works. And so if I go back in here and I say I want to re-opt him back in, it's as simple as that. So again, simple to manage. Everything's there. It's right in front of you, and you're able to kind of keep that organized. You'll notice on the Manage tab, we have a media library where I can go and upload all of my media assets, whatever I'd like to include in messages. We have an agent settings. This is where I can go in and sign up any of my agents. So any of my customer service team, or people in different departments, I can actually give them special access to only certain roles within our platform. So if I only want people to see customers, or I only want them to see reps in certain countries, I have the ability to do that. We recently signed a deal with Young Living, where we work with their global offices. And so each global office can only see that particular region's people, right? So that they're not going to let them see the whole entire world. They can only see their region and only work with their contacts. So the functionality here of being able to create those users or agents and give them the different permissions is really helpful to kind of segment that activity and who's working on what. You'll also notice I have my API logs down here for all the logs. I have email preferences. So, every time you want to create some kind of an email preferences list where there's 5 or 6 different things they can be opted in for, simple to do it. You can actually have your own logo on it. You can come in and customize the look and feel. The URL for it will actually, every time it pops up, it'll have your name on it, kind of a subdomain that we use. So again, everything's real personalized to be able to use that. At the same time, I can create a company opt-in. So if you ever want to send out some type of a promotional campaign and opt people in for something, whether it's a newsletter list or it's some kind of a new promos, monthly promo list, real simple to go in and create one of these, customize it with your look and feel and colors, your logo, and be able to have an opt-in form basically that pops up where they can actually subscribe to a particular channel or group. Okay.
So as Matt's going through all of this, one thing that I want to really point out is, they are communication experts, more so than the ByDesign team. So, they ensure that they're not only compliant now, but as future restrictions change, or if things open up differently, they're always up to date on the latest and greatest. So they're going to be able to help to guide you when it comes to opting in, opting out, what I can send, what I can't send. They're going to help you with all of that. And that's part of the kind of service mentality that I spoke about in the beginning. For any mutual client that is leveraging Ziplingo, there is, in the very beginning, you will be assigned a resource from the Ziplingo team that's going to help you upload your logos, do all of your branding, manage your data. They'll test the webhooks between our systems and yours. So we really want to make sure that you have the resources on both sides to get it up and running so that you can then manage it moving forward. But you will have that dedicated resource to you that's really partnering and hand-holding with you to help navigate any of your unique situations. Maybe you have multiple countries and you need different rules in the different countries, or you might even have different branding for different types of communication. So, trust that they are the communication experts. That's why we chose them as a preferred partner. They understand this industry, they understand your business. So just know that you will have that help with getting things up and running, answering any of your questions from day one as you get started and go on throughout your lifetime with them.
Yeah, thank you very
One
much. Yeah. Did you want me to
one
touch?
more thing that I want to point out is because I love it. I love all their tools. I think you can see how different the creation of one of these messages is in their system versus ours. It's much more a drop and go, plug and play kind of stuff. You can see what you're building while you're building it. But if you noticed when he was walking through the setup of even the triggered events, you can use a drip campaign for. So that is something that I have gotten questions on the ByDesign side from clients like, "Hey, can I send a drip campaign based on a trigger?" And the answer has always been no in our system. But with the partnership and the integration with Ziplingo, you can use one of our triggers to then trigger a drip campaign. So it's something that I get asked for a lot, and the capability is here with the partnership.
Yeah, definitely. You're able to come in using one of the webhooks, or in this case, an autoresponder as a webhook, to be the basically the trigger to kick that off. And then you're able to come in here and choose, the type of message that goes out first. You'll notice up here at the top of my screen, I have message 1, 2, 3, 4. I can add new messages, as many as I want. I can also come in later and move a message. So maybe I want to add a new message before number 9 or after number 10. I can do that easily. You can pause it in the middle of, like, let's say you wanted to go make a change to your drip campaign. We have a pause feature to go in and basically edit it on the fly and restart it so that nobody gets left out. Everybody's still in the same order of when they're receiving messages, etc. So there's a lot of cool functionality that we've put in there to be able to help you with that. So yeah, that is a very useful feature. One other thing I wanted to mention, you've probably heard of journeys before, but a journey is nothing more than, taking a campaign that you've built and adding some decision trees and some additional content or messages that flow after that, depending on a decision that they make. For example, if I'm looking at some type of an AR trigger here, maybe this is a new rep order. If they were to open the message, I might want to have a time delay to give them time to open it. Maybe they don't open it within the first hour, so I give it a couple hours. And then after that time delay, if they've done that, then maybe I want to send them another message. So I could come over here to the left and I could drag down whatever that next message is going to be and actually build that message into this particular flow or journey. Same thing with those that have not clicked. So if somebody doesn't click on something, maybe because it's in their email, they haven't opened it, whatever that might be, maybe I want to get a message to them if it's a real important message. Maybe I want to get it to them real quick and kind of in their face, and I send it as an SMS. Well, I don't want to send everybody an SMS because SMS might cost a little bit more. So I'm going to send it out through an email, and then let's see who doesn't open it in the first, whatever time frame. And then the rest of them, let's blast them an SMS because we know that has really, really high open rates. So again, being able to utilize journeys and kind of push people down a path, you're able to do that with this system. And again, obviously, I can come in here and build out. That's why I've got these, zoom and zoom out. I could build as long of a journey as I want based upon what I'm trying to get the end user to accomplish. So our team's very experienced in this. They can help you with this. Obviously, the more channels you have, if you had an app channel, maybe if they did this and that, you say, okay, from there, I want to send them a push notification into their app so that they can do something in there as kind of their next step. So a lot of fun things you can do as you utilize some of these journeys. Pages, the ability to go in and build a page, which really is nothing more than a landing page. So as you're sending out content, as you're sending out messages, come in and choose a pre-built one or go in and customize one yourself. So again, on the landing pages, very similar to what we looked at earlier for our email templates. We have landing page templates. This one was paired with that one I looked at earlier today on the email side. So I could use something similar to this. And so I click on it, it's going to build it all out. I can go in and customize it. But again, the URL that it's going to have will have part of your subdomain as part of it so that it will look and feel like your company. But I can literally go in and build out a nice page to drive people to with some specific message. Maybe it's an event or something. Maybe you want them to register on a page. The ability to go in and build out that functionality here within our page builder. So that's another nice to have, nice feature. As you can see, we've really tried to think of everything. And frankly, it's because of Cassie's team and her clients that we've been able to build this out in such a way, because the more companies we work with, the more ideas they give us, the more things they want us to build. And so we throw those into our different sprints and try to get those, out so that you can have more functionality and more usability. As far as just analytics and simply looking at a message that's been sent, every single message that goes out, if I go into my campaigns, I can do the same thing, but I can see all of the analytics. I can see who it was sent to, the people that it wasn't even able to be delivered to because they had bad data, anybody that it failed to, if it was delivered, if it was opened or clicked or complained or replied, right? So all of that, and this is all drilled down. I can go in and actually look at the actual people who are on that. I can export it. I can add it to a new group and send another message to it. So a lot of cool functionality in here that you can use. You can also archive a lot of this for use later if you want. The other thing that we touched on just high level was the ability to track a link. So when you go in and build a link, we've given ByDesign this little code that they stick on the front end of the website, of your website. It's just some JavaScript, and that will actually track exactly what's happening with everyone that's going to that particular link or website that you're throwing in there. It'll track their clicks, it'll track their page views. It can track the actual number of orders, the revenue on each of those orders or subtotal of all of that. And it can also track your return on investment. We always tell people, you know what, mobile messaging has incredible ROI. And we don't just tell you that, but we give you the ability to prove it to yourself by sending out a campaign and seeing how much better of a return and result you get off that versus trying to do, an email campaign. And so, the idea here is really being able to look at these promos, promotional messages that you do, your Black Friday type deals, and being able to see, hey, I only spent, X dollars on this, but my return was this amount. We actually sold this much on our site through that message. So again, a lot of functionality utilizing our messaging KPIs for monthly link tracking. I think you already know about upline notifications, sponsor notifications, upline and sponsor type stuff. That all works as well. So when something happens within the organization, those notifications can go up the tree or to the sponsor. So that automatically can happen whenever you want, based on whatever type of trigger or autoresponder you want that to fire off of. So keep that in mind, that's also part of our functionality. The last thing that I'll say is all of our messaging is done through tier 1 delivery networks. And we're going to pair you with a delivery network that really, and when I say, I'm talking like your tier 1 aggregators globally, or in the US if you're just going to be sending here. So we use companies like SendGrid, which you guys have heard of. I'm sure you've heard of Twilio, Infobip, Mailgun, Cinch, Calera, Bandwidth. So we have a number of them that we work with depending on really what it is you're trying to achieve. So if I'm a global company and I want to send SMS globally, I would say Infobip is probably your best option. They are the largest global SMS, MMS provider in the industry, period, bar none. They have more direct connections than anyone. So again, that's just an example. We want to pair you with the right delivery network to ensure that, once the message goes out, you have really high rates of delivery wherever you're trying to deliver them to. And that goes for these other channels like WhatsApp and Line and Telegram, Messenger. We always use tier one delivery networks for those channels as well to ensure that you get the highest delivery rates and obviously the most cost-effective pricing. Any other questions popping up, Cassie?
I don't see any more in the chat. If anybody else has a question, now would be a great time to ask. We've got about 7 minutes left.
So really, high level, just to kind of, in summary, Ziplingo provides this tool set that integrates and syncs data between your back office and global communication technology. That's really how simple it is. So, hey, we want to go out and build out all these cool campaigns that do all of this stuff. In the past, we might have used ByDesign, or maybe you were using a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, and you had no real-time data. Utilizing us gives you the ability to trigger things in real time, to really leverage that real-time communication for your organization, to save a ton of time, to eliminate probably a number of different systems. Most of the customers we work with are using 2 or 3 different systems or platforms to accomplish what we're doing with one. And so they're able to obviously eliminate some of those costs. Our product is very cost effective. It's going to be very similar to some of those other names I mentioned earlier, but you have real time, like we've already done all the integration. We've already spent all the money to do all that so that you don't have to do that. You don't have to come up with that big upfront number to try and integrate it. And you're able to immediately leverage, all those benefits that come from having a fully integrated solution.
Yeah, and that's really key is that, we have put the work in before so that when you're ready to go live, it is very turnkey. From the ByDesign side, there are no development costs. There are no, it's literally turning on some webhooks and putting the right endpoints in. Now, obviously, from the Ziplingo side, there is some setup there for the branding, the logos, and all of that. But from a ByDesign side, it is very turnkey. It can be turned on very quickly. You have the power to do that on your own, or of course, our team can assist. And that goes for future features as well. So I know one of the questions that just came in was from an existing mutual client that isn't seeing the messaging KPIs. So that messaging KPIs and the revenue reporting there is something that came later. So it's likely something that will need to go and be turned on. So as an answer to your question, Christy, I'll need to have Matt reach out to you to see about getting it turned on to your dashboard. But that's just an example for anybody else on the call. As we continue to integrate further and as Ziplingo adds new and more tools, they're available to you through the integration that we've already done there.
And I do want to mention one last thing, something that we are adding right now in our current sprint, and I'm not going to give you a deadline, like drop date deadline, because that never works out for anybody. But we are currently working on a sprint to allow your representatives, i.e. distributors, to be able to have access to this tool to send messages to their customers and or their downline. And again, we've had a ton of requests from companies to add that functionality. So instead of coming in and seeing all the contacts, all they would be able to see is their downline and or their customers. And again, there'll be the ability to only let them see certain things. There'll be the ability to lock their campaigns so they can only use pre-approved corporate campaigns, things like that. But we have had a lot of questions around that recently. Hey, how can we, allow our reps to be able to use this to follow up with customers when they get an order or those kind of things? So that is something that's already in the works and is part of our current sprint that Ryan's working on.
Well, that's exciting. I didn't even know about that. I'm excited to see that.
That's a new one that was on our roadmap.
I love it. I love it.
So if there's any other questions, let's see. I don't see any.
I think I've been able to answer most of them. As we conclude, I just want to thank everybody for your time and attention. I hope that you got some answers to any questions you might have about the integration. I hope that you've been excited about some of the tools that you've seen. If you're ready to take the step and you want to learn more about getting started, feel free to visit the marketplace in your Freedom back office where we house all of our partners. Or you can also reach out to me in client growth. I'm happy to help get you connected with the team at Ziplingo. You can also reach out to Ziplingo. We're in constant contact with one another. So no matter who you reach out to, we'll be sure that we connect and that we get you taken care of. But again, I just want to thank the Ziplingo team. The tools that you guys have put together really are right on point for this industry, and you understand the needs of what we're doing here. So just thank you guys for creating awesome tools, for integrating them in a great way. You make it really easy to spend marketing money wisely and spend effort wisely. So I continue to be impressed with what you guys are offering.
Thanks so much. Appreciate everybody's time, and thank you so much, ByDesign, for being such a great partner with us, and for giving us the opportunity to have this relationship.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. Have a great night, and we'll talk soon.